Tennessee, early 1800s, before electricity, before police radios, before psychiatry had names for madness. In a time when people feared God, the devil, and the darkness between candle flames, something came to a quiet farming family. It spoke, it laughed, it tortured, it killed, and it was never exote. The Bell family lived in Robertson County, Tennessee, near the Red River. John Bell Sr. was a respected farmer, church elder, and family man. He owned fertile land and was known as honest, disciplined, and deeply religious. His family included his wife Lucy Bell, their children, including Betsy Bell, a young girl whose life would be destroyed by what followed. The land was calm. The nights were quiet, until 1817. One evening, John Bell was walking through his fields when he saw something impossible. A creature, it looked like a dog, but wrong. Its body was oversized. Its eyes burned unnaturally bright, and its movements were unnatural, jerky. As if it did not belong to this world, John fired his gun. The creature vanished. That night, the knocking began. At first, the sounds were subtle. Scratching on walls, beating on doors, choking noises from empty corners. Then the sounds spoke. A voice, sometimes whispering, sometimes screaming, began addressing the family by name. It knew secrets, it knew sins, it knew thoughts, and it laughed. The spirit focused on Betsy Bell, John's teenage daughter. Invisible hands slapped her. Hair was pulled violently. Pins stabbed her skin. Witnesses saw her lifted into the air. The voice mocked her prayers. It sang hymns backwards. And it promised, "I will never leave this house." After months of terror, the voice finally identified itself. It claimed to be Kate Batt's spirit, a neighbor who believed John Bell had cheated her in a land deal. The voice said it had come for revenge. But historians believe something far darker was involved. The entity displayed knowledge no human could possess. News spread. Neighbors came to witness the haunting. They saw furniture moving on its own. Blankets ripped away, children beaten by unseen forces. The spirit spoke to everyone. It mocked skeptics. It debated religion. It predicted deaths. It could not be stopped. Future U.S. President Andrew Jackson came to investigate. His men laughed until their wagon refused to move. A voice said, "All right, General, let the wagon move on. I'll see you again tonight." That night, Jackson's men were beaten violently. Jackson reportedly said, "I'd rather fight the British again than face the Bell Witch." The witch turned its full attention to John Bell. He became paralyzed. He could not speak clearly. He wasted away. The spirit boasted, "I gave him the illness. I will take his life." One morning, a strange vial appeared. The witch claimed it was poison. John Bell died shortly after at his funeral. The witch laughed and sang. In 1821, the spirit said it would leave, but promised to return. "I will come back in 7 years." And again, and again. The Bell family never fully recovered. The land remains haunted to this day. By 1818, sleep had become impossible in the Bell household. Every night followed the same pattern. First came the scratching long, slow nails dragging across wooden walls, as if something were crawling just behind the boards. Then came the thumping, heavy and deliberate, moving from room to room. Finally, the voice. Sometimes it whispered so softly that people leaned forward just to hear it. Sometimes it screamed so violently that neighbors heard it. Across the fields, the voice never tired, it never slept, and it never left. The Bells learned that prayer did not silence it. It mocked scripture. It corrected Bible verses. It sang church hymns, but twisted, broken, wrong. Lucy Bell, the mother, suffered silently. The witch targeted her mind at night. Lucy felt hands pressing down on her chest, making it impossible to breathe. She woke choking, certain she was dying. Sometimes the voice whispered, "You cannot protect them." Other times it laughed, "You brought this upon your family." Lucy aged years and months. Her hair thinned, her hands shook, her faith cracked. But she never abandoned her children. The attacks on Betsy Bell came public and undeniable. Witnesses saw it. Invisible hands slapped. Her face so hard her head snapped sideways. Pins appeared embedded in her arms. Her hair was pulled upward as if by something standing above her. At times, She was lifted from the floor and thrown against walls. The witch spoke while beating her. "I hate you. I will ruin you. You will never marry." No human touched her, and yet the bruises bloomed purple and black. What terrified witnesses most was not the violence. It was the intelligence. The entity answered questions before they were spoken. It recited sermons, delivered miles away. It described events happening simultaneously. In other towns, it knew secrets no one had confessed. It corrected doctors. It mocked ministers. It even argued theology and often won. One visitor asked, "Are you a ghost?" The voice replied, "I am not what you call a ghost." Another asked, "Are you the devil?" The voice laughed, "I am something older." Ministers arrived from across Tennessee. They prayed, they commanded, they anointed. Nothing worked. The witch struck pastors. During prayer, it quoted scripture back at them. One preacher fled the house screaming. Another collapsed in terror. After being slapped repeatedly by unseen hands, the witch declared, "I am beyond your God." Andrew Jackson's visit did not end with mockery. That night, his men slept inside the Bell home. They were awakened by screams. One soldier was dragged across the floor by his hair. Another was beaten unconscious. Jackson himself was reportedly shoved violently against a wall. The witch spoke directly to him, "You will be president." Then it laughed. Jackson left before sunrise. John. Condition worsened. His tongue swelled. His speech failed. His face drooped. Doctors diagnosed paralysis, but the witch mocked them. "I did that." At night, the witch sat by his bed. It whispered, "You are mine." John could no longer swallow properly. Then came the vial. One morning in 1820, Lucy Bell discovered a strange bottle in the medicine cabinet. No one admitted placing it there. The witch spoke. "I put that there." It claimed the liquid was poison. A drop was tested on a cat. The animal died instantly. John Bell died shortly afterward, at his funeral. Witnesses heard laughter. The witch sang drinking songs. The witch eased its attacks after John's death. It claimed satisfaction. It tormented Betsy one final time, forcing her to break off her engagement. Then it announced, "I am leaving now." But it made a promise. "I will return." Years later, disturbances were reported near a cave on the Bell property. Animals refused to enter. Voices echoed without source. Objects moved. People felt watched. Some claimed the witch still lived there. Some still do. Even today, paranormal researchers report voices, tourists experience scratches, equipment malfunctions. Children cry without reason. No explanation has satisfied all evidence. Before leaving the Bell home in 1821, the entity made a declaration that chilled everyone present. "I will return in 7 years." 7 years passed. In 1828, strange events began again near the Bell property. Farm animals refused to move. Voices echoed from empty fields. Children heard whispers calling their names. The Bell Witch had kept its promise. And again in 1846, and again in 1935. Each return followed the same pattern: brief, violent, mocking, then silence, like something checking in. Descendants of the Bell family later revealed journals that were never meant to be public. One entry read, "It speaks as if it knows the future." Another said, "It does not rage like a demon, it calculates." These diaries suggested something far more disturbing than a ghost or a curse. The entity did not behave emotionally, it behaved strategically, historians overwhelmingly reject the idea that the witch was the spirit of Kate Batts. Why? Because the intelligence exceeded human limits. It predicted future events accurately. It appeared simultaneously in multiple locations. It demonstrated knowledge of theology, medicine, and distant conversations. No human spirit, according to even 19th century belief, could do this. The Kate Batts identity may have been a mask, a lie. Some skeptics suggest mass hysteria or poltergeist activity, but poltergeists do not speak fluently, do not poison people, do not debate scripture, do not target. One man until death, and poltergeists do not appear before dozens of witnesses. This was not chaos. This was intent. Many theologians believe the bell, which was demonic. Evidence: hatred of prayer, blasphemy, physical violence, possession-like behavior, mockery of God, but even demons, according to doctrine, respond to exorcism. This entity did not laughed at exorcisms. It humiliated priests. It stayed. Some researchers believe the bell, which was not supernatural at all, but something else entirely, a non-human intelligence, something ancient, something curious, something that discovered it could interact with humans and chose to test its limits. It did not want worship. It did not want souls. It wanted reaction, fear, suffering, control. The cave still exists. Visitors report sudden nausea, pressure on the chest, children screaming uncontrollably, voices saying leave, equipment failure, skeptics leave shaken. Believers leave terrified. No one stays long. This case remains unique in American history because it involved physical harm. It resulted in documented death. It involved national leadership. It occurred over multiple generations. It left written records. It was never resolved. There was no victory. No cleansing, no ending. Locals say that on quiet nights near the Bell Witch Cave, you can still hear it. A voice soft, amused, patient, waiting. I am not gone, because it does not offer comfort. There is no lesson, no justice, no explanation. An idea that something intelligent, unseen, and cruel once walked openly among ordinary people.